Here I have a space heater. Accidentally got dropped. I know what's wrong with it just by looking at the back. The fan in it's broke. One of the blades broke off. So the fan doesn't turn. The blade that broke off is wedged right down here in the bottom, holding the fan still, so it won't turn. The heat works though, because I can turn it on and I can feel the heat coming off. But I'm thinking that the fan needs to be blowing while the heat's on, otherwise this thing will heat up too much. I don't know if I'll be able to fix it. With the blade broke off, I can rig something together to make the blade stay on there, like melting it and putting a piece of metal in the plastic and melting it into the plastic to hold the blade on there. I might do that just to get it back to the person it belongs to so they can have it, but the ideal thing would be to buy a new blade for it, the whole fan assembly for it, and plastic blade I should say, and do it right. There is something else loose in there. When I move it around, I can hear a little piece wiggling around. So I don't know what that is because I haven't took it apart yet. But I'll do that, and then we'll take a look at the inside and see what we're going to do from there. I'm going to take these 4 screws off and then see what's inside. Well, there's the inside. Got the heater, circuit board up here, something plastic floating around in the bottom. Now we have to take this off right here to get to the fan. Got 4 screws. Alright. There's the broken fan blade right there. So we might be able to melt it back on there. I've done that before. It works. It's cobble, but it works. Serves the purpose. It lasts. But we'll try it on this, just so she ain't got to spend no money. The owner doesn't have to spend any money on it. Got a little black plastic ring here. That's what was floating around on the inside. Not sure where that goes yet. I'll have to take a look at it and figure that out. But yeah, looks like we got a clip here to take off, and then this blade will slide off. Let me get some pliers. I don't have that sitting right here at the moment for some reason. Alright, we'll try these. It's just a little spring clip on here. Squeeze it together and this should come off. Just like that. And this should slide off just like that. So there we got the broken fan. I'm sure you could probably buy this if you want to order it from somewhere, but it's a really cheap piece. You can feel how cheap it is. So I'm not going to go through the time. I know she probably won't want to go through the time of ordering one, but we could melt this back on here because it's so cheap and flimsy. It would be nothing to melt it back on there and put a little support wire connecting the blade to the rest of the body, and it'll hold it in there, and it'll probably last forever. You can probably get some good glue too and put it on there, but I'll probably go with just melting it on there. Alright, we'll set that up and then we'll get back with you. Upon further inspection, I found out that this case that goes around the heater here and around the fan had cracked. Right here, there's a big old crack right across here. It didn't break right here, but it's cracked from this point all the way over here. So we'll have to do something about that too. And then on the circuit board over here, it got knocked loose. So it's wiggling. The plastic standoffs that connect this board to this board actually popped out on the back. So you can see it's kind of loose in there. This little piece, this little plastic ring that I found laying around in there matches the same one that's right over on this side, so I'm assuming this piece mounts back here somewhere. But it does look like it's been broke off. So I'll have to take this board out to see exactly where this was mounted, if it in fact did come from back here. So I'll take this out and we'll look and see where this goes. So after looking into this further, show you I took the heating element out to find out where this little piece goes, and I found it. It goes right here, same as this one right here. It just broke out from around that screw, and the reason it broke out is because when this got dropped, along with this big crack on this side, it also cracked right here and cracked right here. And something behind here must have cracked because this is plastic jammed in here. So there'll be a lot of gluing or melting to get this piece back together. But I guess I'll check this this fan to see if it actually turns before I go and do all that kind of work. Otherwise, this is pretty much a loss if you want to order this piece here, you might be able to find that from the manufacturer or someplace, but it's probably not worth it. I don't know how much one of these costs, but it's probably not worth going through all the hassle. But because I'm not really don't really have a lot of stuff going on right now, I'm going to just play around with it and see if I can get this all put back together and see if I can get it working again. If not, you know, goes in the garbage and they'll just have to spend some more money to buy another one. Alright, so I'm going to take this apart some more and see about getting this fan part out of here, the fan motor out, and see what this plastic is and go from there. I did want to mention that when the circuit boards were put together, I pointed at something in here and said that it might be that, because it looked like this one when these were together like this. This is actually a little speaker, so this beeps when you probably hit the buttons or whatever. So just so you're not wondering whatever that thing was, I figured I'd get this in there and tell you exactly what it was. But so it's a little speaker. Alright, so I got a few other things to report. So I got this all the way out, took everything off it, and it is cracked pretty bad. This plastic that was in this little hole that I said it looked like pieces of plastic in there broke off. Well, after looking at it, it looks like it's melted from maybe the motor heating up and not spinning because of the broken fin was holding the fan still. So it was, the motor was heating up and melting that. So I'll just take a file and file that back out so it's round, and then like I said, I'll try to glue this or melt it back together. It's pretty tough though. There's a lot of pressure trying to close this crack right here, so I don't know if it's going to hold or not, but we'll give it a try. Now this motor is just a 120 volt AC motor, so we're going to try it and see if it works. And I have this this little cord that I cut off something. I'm going to plug it in. Got my wires right here that I'm going to connect to these here, and then we'll just plug it in for a second, see if this spins. If it does, we should be good, and then we'll go back to start working on doing something with this. Alright, so let me get this hooked up and I'm going to be right back with you. Alright, so I got it connected. Just stuck the wires in the ends. Nothing fancy. Just keep them apart, and then I'm just going to touch it into the socket and we're going to see if that spins. If it does, that's all the test we need to do. Just make sure our wires don't touch together. And alright, it spins, so we know the motor's not burnt up or anything, and so we'll go from there. So here I'm just kind of crudely set up to melt this piece back on here. Nothing special. I'm using my soldering iron. I got a bad tip in there. Don't want to use a good tip. So I'm just going to get this fin lined up pretty straight, sitting in the spot that it was, and then just kind of do some melting around it to try to hold it in place. See if that holds. See if it don't, hopefully it don't fall off before I get done. Just try to get it close to the place that it was before. If you get it way off, then it's most likely going to be unbalanced, and it's going to cause the whole thing to shake and wobble, and I also got some solder braid that I was going to use to help strengthen it up a little bit. Just got a little piece and I'm just going to melt that right into it. Like I said, this is just a way to rig it up. It's not the best way to do it, but you know, I ain't guaranteeing that it's going to work afterwards anyway, so. But there's no reason why it wouldn't. As long as you take your time and make sure the fin's straight, make sure everything works, which it does. Because I tested the heater, I tested the fan. Melting this solder braid in there is going to add some weight to it, so it's going to kind of put it off balance, but hopefully it doesn't put it that much off balance. We'll find out once we get it all back together and turn it on and see if it's going to wiggle itself right off the table or something. And if it does, like I said, no big loss. Throw it away, buy a new one. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find some plastic that I can also use to melt right into it. That'll help hold it too. And I might have some right behind me. This is my 3D printer plastic. Although I don't think this is high temp, it should be enough to work for holding this on. The fan blade itself shouldn't get too hot because it's trying to push the heat away. Almost like soldering plastic. Stinks. And the more you add to it, like I said, the more you're changing the weight, the more it's going to unbalance it, however you want to put it. It's real thin plastic anyway, it's cheap. You'd think they would have done a little bit better job at designing that. I'm going to blowing on it to cool it down faster. Alright, we'll let that sit for a while and see if that works. See if it holds it. So you can see it's just a little crude job of melting it in there. Nothing special. Looks like it's pretty straight with the other ones close. I ain't gonna wiggle it too much. I'll wait until it dries the rest of the way. All right, let's set that aside. and then see about melting some of this back together. House is starting to stink because of this. I'm just going to kind of melt across these lines. That's probably it. You can see that's all I did there. Just melt it back and forth. And you can see it's holding it, so should be pretty good. Guess you can go as deep as you want, but it's all up to you. That's just how to repair plastic if you want to do a crude job of it and don't feel like spending the money on the parts, whatever. It'll work for you. All right, I'm gonna start putting this back together and see exactly if this is going to work or not. This here feels pretty tight. I think it'll last. Them aren't the sturdiest either, so mine actually feels a little bit more sturdier since I added some plastic to it. But you know, this only spins, so it's not going to hurt anything. All right, so I'm going to start putting this together. We'll see what it looks like afterwards. All right, back together. I didn't put this little piece back in there, that plastic piece that broke off around that screw, because it doesn't serve any purpose anyway for operational purposes. So see, everything's together. Now is the time to go or blow, right? Shouldn't be nothing wrong with it, but who knows? There's that little speaker I was telling you about. It beeped. Got the display on there. Let's turn the fan on and see if that works. Oh, give it some power first. There's the fan, and the heat's on too. Eco, low. So you got high, low, and eco for the fan or for the heat. I can feel the heat. You can hear the fan. It's not wobbling off the table, so that's good. I'm going to put it on fan. Once I hit fan, the light jumps over from eco to fan, and then I can adjust the fan Let's see. I think I can adjust the fan. Maybe I can't. Maybe the fan's on all the time. I know nothing about this. You're looking at it at the same time I am. So up and down, I guess here is the temperature for the heat. It's at 86. Sure blows out a lot of heat. Hit the heat. Alright. Looks like it has a timer on it. I'm not sure how that works. I'll set the minutes that it runs or something maybe. But it's just a basic heater. Hear the fan. Like I said, it's not wobbling off the table, so we didn't put too much more weight on that fan to make it hobbling across the table. So looks like it's I guess we saved it. Saved her a couple bucks. Easy fix. I thought it was going to be something that we wouldn't be able to because of the broken fan, but I've fixed plastic like that before. It's not the right way to do it, but you know, it'll get the job done. I turned the power off, all the lights went off, but now it's got to blow the fan until it cools off, I'm assuming. And you can see the temperature going down. Temperature sensor is probably this hole right here, because I seen a wire going to it. So that's probably the temperature sensor there or something. You can see it's still dropping down. Probably once it gets to a certain point, the fan will shut off and the whole thing will just shut off. We'll let it sit and see what it does. See if it does turn off. It's on 20, 19. You can see that. Probably when it gets to 0, I'm thinking maybe it turns off. No more heat. It's cool. And there it goes. All right. Thumbs up for this job.